का डिमांड करते हैं कि CAA कानून को भी वापस लिया जाए। अगर NPR और NRC का कानून बनाएंगे तो हम दोबारा रोड पे निकलेंगे, यहीं पर भी शाहीन बाग बनेगा इंशाअल्लाह ताला, याद रखो आप।
Owaisi's statement on Prime Minister is highly objectionable. Mr. Owaisi, who is the biggest joker of the entire political scene.
Good evening, everyone. This was expected and it has begun. Renewed calls against CAA and NRC demanding a rollback by threatening more street protests. In the recent part, India has witnessed two massive street blockades, the Shaheen Bagh protest against CAA and the farm union agitation against farm laws. In both cases, arterial roads were jammed, discussions led to nowhere, speeches unrelated to issues were made, inflammatory speeches were being made from their stages, and public property destruction took place. Lakhs of citizens who expressed their anger and disagreement against these protests in more civil ways continued to suffer. But has that street veto culture being emboldened now that farm laws have been taken back? And will we continue to see more such protests that always invariably get co-opted politically to fight a counter-fight away from the might of the ballot? First up, listen in to what Asaduddin Owaisi has said.
हम आपसे इस बात का डिमांड करते हैं कि CAA कानून को भी वापस लिया जाए। अगर NPR और NRC का कानून बनाएंगे तो हम दोबारा रोड पे निकलेंगे, यहीं पर भी शाहीन बाग बनेगा इंशाअल्लाह ताला, याद रखो आप।
ओवैसी साहब यूपी के चुनाव में गए हैं तो इस पर कुछ भ्रम पैदा करके अपनी सियासत करना चाहते हैं, वो नहीं होने वाला है। इस तरह और ये कह देना कि सब जगह शाहीन बाग बना देंगे तो ये ख्वाब उनके अधूरे रहेंगे, कभी पूरे नहीं होंगे।
But remember, this isn't about a certain bill or law alone. There are larger questions for the public and the country when street protests against all laws themselves become the norm and the chosen path to politics. Let's remind ourselves of what Delhi had to witness due to Shaheen Bagh protests. First up, it caused massive civic mayhem. 101-day blockade at Delhi's Kalindi Kunj Road. Remember, these are arterial roads. They connected Delhi and Noida. There was traffic diversion that went on for these many months. Routes to 3 major hospitals were also hit. Additional 1 to 1.5 hours of travel time for those who actually, traveled or commuted between Delhi and Noida and others. Massive waste of fuel because of these protests as well. But not to forget, businesses, livelihoods of nearly 5 lakh people in that area were affected. During such protests, from December 2019 onwards itself, public rioting was done. Police was attacked. Public property was destroyed. That's not a protest. Then there is the always present danger of such protests being hijacked or being used by forces inimical to India. Remember, several such speeches were made from the anti-CAA stage, most notably the likes of Sharjeel Imam. And the very obvious, overtly communal politics this protest emboldened. No one was able to explain why Indian Muslims should have a problem with a law that doesn't affect them. Young children were being radicalized. Women and children were used as shields. Because of these protests and the climate it created, Delhi witnessed the first riots in over 3 decades. And nobody really wants to take any responsibility on any side. Let me go across to the guests who are joining us. Our street veto protests gaining power because of what has happened. Asaduddin Owaisi is already threatening Shaheen Bagh all over India. Guru Prakash Paswan, national spokesperson of the BJP, is joining us. Abhishek Banerjee, columnist. Varis Pathan of the AIMIM. And Sujata Paul, leader of the Congress, is joining us. Let me go across to Varis Pathan first up. Varis Pathan, doesn't it seem odd that elected representatives like Asaduddin Owaisi threaten street protests? There is no way better to make yourself heard?
Well, let me make this very clear. I will be making my points. I want 2 points to be urged before the nation. First and foremost, I congratulate the farmers of our country who sat there. They did not do any violence and they won the battle. It is the win of the democracy. It is the winning of the constitution. No, let me make my point. The constitution has won, democracy has won, and it is the loss of an aggressor and ego. Congratulations to them. Now, the 3 bills which the government withdrew were unconstitutional from the beginning. We were saying, but you and the other BJP leaders were trying to make up a case that no, they are very helpful to the farmers. Then
One
what
second,
happened?
you're saying
Modi
the
had to
farm
come
laws
before
were
the country and
unconstitutional?
apologize.
That's not even an argument anybody made in
That
court.
is
This
repealed.
matter went to
There are
court.
repealed,
Don't drop such words like unconstitutional randomly. No, Varis Pathan, you're a
Allow me
lawyer.
to make my, see, if you
They
allow
lose
me
their
to make
meaning
my
when
point,
you drop words like that.
I know my job, I know what am I saying. I know very well what I am saying. Please allow me to make my point, Shivangi. Have some patience. I know I am going
but
against
you
your
cannot
agenda,
just say they
but
were
I am following the
unconstitutional
Constitution
and get away
given
with
to
it.
me by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. You
The
might
fact
be
that
following
the farm laws
Constitution
were
of Savarkar and
unconstitutional
Golkar,
is
but I
some
am
new argument you've brought in. Nobody has ever said that. This matter went to court. You think the court would have not
What?
looked at the unconstitutionality? What was unconstitutional about them?
Why Modi withdrew? Why the laws
Because
are
he
why
clearly
the laws
said
are repealed?
that
What
some
made Modi
farmers
withdrew
were
them?
opposed to it.
What did he say?
They were not opposed
What did
to
he
it
say?
on the basis of its
Who were against? Who were
constitutionality.
against? Name them. Name them. Okay. You know more than me. Name the farmers who were against the law. Name them.
What
I
do
want
you
to hear
mean
the
name
names
them?
of the farmers who were against the law. Name them. Let us know who were the farmers who were against the bill.
ones who were
I
protesting.
tell you, the farmers of our nation unanimously came before Modi and said, we please repeal these 3 bills which are unconstitutional. That is the argument since the beginning. And now we demand that please withdraw the laws you have enacted on the NRC and the CAA. They are also unconstitutional because laws cannot be formulated on the basis of religion. It is against the constitution given to us by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Our
Okay,
demand is
no,
that.
your
And
argument
we
on
also said
CAA
that,
aside,
yes,
my
if our demands
question
are not
was to
fulfilled,
you,
we
I'm
will
not questioning
definitely
your
go
opposition to
and
CAA.
hold dharna
I'm saying
production
as elected
per the
representatives,
constitution without using
isn't
force
it
and
better
violence.
to actually do something through parliamentary democracy, or you're going to just threaten protests on the streets for everything? You know, just sheer numbers on the streets is not how our democracy is run. That was my question to you.
Well, I live in a democratic country. I follow the constitution, and the constitution has given me the right that if I disagree with the government, I can very well hold Andolan peaceful agitation.
And at
I am
designated
against
areas,
violence, and I
Varis
condemn
Pathan,
all
don't be
kinds of violence and
economical with
violent
the truth
activities.
or the law.
Let me make
The
myself
Supreme
very
Court
sure.
repeatedly said blocking
the truth
highways
is
or
that
streets is
the
not the way to protest.
unconstitutional
So when you threaten Shaheen Bagh type protest, what does that
Black-
mean?
What does that mean? I am entitled. I am
Entitled to
entitled
what?
to
You're
protest
not
against the
entitled to
government
everything
policies.
under the sun.
Agree to disagree is the key. Agree to disagree is the key ingredient of any democracy and a
By
democratic
blocking
country I live
roads?
in.
Are
I
you
follow the
giving me an
constitution, it has given
assurance
me right.
that you will
cannot
protest
stop
without
me.
blocking roads?
You mean to say, I said we will protest without going violent. We will not use any force
But
or
Shaheen
violence.
Bagh
We will
protest
protest
went violent.
legally as per the
We
constitution.
saw
When did it
stone
went-
pelting
your BJP
against
leaders
the
came there and
police.
made that violent.
At
Your
JNU, we
BJP
saw
leader,
stone pelting against the police
Let me-
in
let me-
several parts of North Delhi. This is before the riots, mind you. I'm talking about December.
Your BJP
mid-December.
leaders made provocative
Sir, I am not talking
statements,
about February.
provocative speeches.
There was
went
stone
there
pelting
at
and
Shaheen
violence
Bagh
and clashes
and
with the
they
police as
threatened-
early as December.
They threatened even the DCP was present there on the spot, and you all.
I'm not
you,
talking about
everybody
February
saw what
alone. My
happened
question
after
is that you want to protest, you are free to do so. Nobody ever
What
raised a
happened?
question against
They were
protest.
protesting
But you must be held
everywhere in the
accountable for
country,
how you
everywhere
hold
in the
protest.
country.
Anarchy is not a protest. Let BJP come in. Guru Prakash, the
Everywhere
problem is
in
that
the country,
the problem
everywhere
is
in
that the central government's
Shaheen Baghs
action
were
only
made,
has
people were
emboldened
protesting
others.
peacefully.
Now they'll protest on this,
Everywhere
on
in
any
the
issue
country, people
like
were
this.
protesting peacefully against the black law,
the floodgates have been
unconstitutional
opened.
law, CAA and NRC. Everybody in the country were protesting peacefully.
Everybody in
There
the
were
country
Shaheen
was
Baghs all
not
over the
protesting.
country. If you have
Please,
not,
don't overstate issues. You
No,
want to be
no, no,
taken
no, no, no.
seriously?
Let
Then
me
at
tell
least
you,
be
this
real
issue was-
with how many people were
this
protesting
issue-
and what they were protesting
this
about.
issue-
Guru Prakash.
What happened in Assam?
Shivani,
What happened in
Shivani,
Assam? They did the NRC.
if I can,
What happened
Shivani,
there?
Mr. Varis
Oda
Pathan,
Pahad,
Mr.
Nikla
Varis
Chuba.
Pathan,
You
you
spent
have
crores of
spoken,
taxpayers'
sir.
money and what
You
did
have
you get
spoken,
after
sir.
that? Absolutely
आप
nothing.
बोल चुके हैं. आप Shivani, can I come in?
Yeah, my question to
Varis
you
Pathan
was
जी,
Guru
आप democracy की
Prakash.
बात करते हैं.
One second. My question to you, Guru Prakash, was that this is what was clearly was going to happen if you take back the farm laws.
Shivani, we must understand things in a little bit of perspective. Mr. Varis Pathan, he used the word constitution about 4 to 5 times, and also Baba Saheb Ambedkar around the same number of times. But he did not let other people speak. So that is his respect for constitutional values. That is his respect for constitutional ethos. Laws are made in the parliament, and parliament is a reflection of the will of the people, of the 1.3 billion people. So laws are made in the parliament. If you are threatening against it, you are trying to hold the constitution, you are trying to hold the democracy on ransom. That is unconstitutional. And we did not know, Mr. Varis Pathan, that apart from being a spokesperson, you are also a Supreme Court judge. Who gave you the right to name any law unconstitutional? On what basis can you declare any law unconstitutional? That is point number 1. Point number 2, Shivani, let me make this very clear on your show tonight. Whoever is against CAA is against social justice, is against the Dalits of the country, because from CAA, Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan, the minorities who are there, majority of them, Meghwals, Bhils, they are Dalit community. And what wrong are we committing if we are expediting the process of their citizenship? I want to ask them tonight, jab chunav aata hai, whenever there is election, you say Dalit Muslim unity, you say Jai Bhim, and now you are going against Dalits of the country. Now you are going against the Dalits of the country. Sir. I did not speak when you were speaking. You are saying constitution. Varis Pathan ji, you can speak.
Now you are allowing you to make all the points. Why?
I respect constitution. I am not going to speak.
This.
No, this is pointless.
You are allowed to make your point, sir.
You spoke on your occasion, sir. You spoke on your occasion. The nation is watching.
Respond also,
Shivani, the nation.
I never get an occasion to speak because the anchor is interjecting time and again.
Don't get so hyper.
Shivani.
You will get to
But
respond.
without your interjection, I will respond
but if you
without
drop
your
words
interjection.
like unconstitutional for the farm laws, I mean, you have to have some sense in the arguments you make. You can't just come and say whatever you want.
Allow unconstitutional a bad word? No.
It's wrong. It's not about good or bad. There was absolutely no constitutional issue with the farm laws.
I say yes.
Varis Pathan ji,
you cannot form a law on the basis of religion.
I'm not talking about CAA. You use the word unconstitutional for the farm laws. Please stick to your argument. Don't overblow it. Nobody will have an issue. Okay, 1 second.
Constitution is unconstitutional.
1 second.
I haven't completed, Shivani.
No, okay, Guru Prakash, please finish. Please finish.
This man did not let me speak. You can see the hypocrisy of this man. He uses constitution, democracy in his remarks, and then he doesn't let other people speak. This is his respect for democracy. The people of India are watching. We are living in a democracy. We are not living in a mobocracy. Let me make this very clear tonight. The Parliament of India is a reflection of 1.3 billion people of India, and you cannot hold the constitution on a ransom, Varis Pathan ji. I'm sorry. आप सीए का विरोध करते हैं, आप दलित विरोधी हैं. Whenever there is election, you say Dalit Muslim unity, Jai Bhim, and now you are against the Dalits of the country. What is this hypocrisy, sir? I want to ask you tonight. So please stop doing politics. Please stop doing politics right now and here. What is the point of doing all this? You have no faith in constitution. You have no faith in democracy. You have no faith in
I
the
don't want to learn
institutions of this
politics
country.
or anything.
You have
from
no
you,
faith in the institutions of this country.
I don't want to learn
there
anything
is democracy.
from you,
There is no
yeah.
mobocracy. Remember this. Remember this. There is democracy. There is no mobocracy. Remember this. And please explain this to your leader as well. आप जाकर को ओवैसी जी को बोलिए यहां डेमोक्रेसी है, मोबोक्रेसी नहीं है. और धमकी किसको देते हैं? धमकी किसको देते हैं? जो देश का संसद है, ये 130 करोड़ लोगों का प्रतिनिधित्व करता है. ये संविधान है, और संविधान के खिलाफ आप बोलेंगे तो ये ठीक नहीं होगा.
हो गया. Now may I make my point, or I should just remain silent and listen to the crap which is going on and on and on?
Language,
I don't want to learn politics from him. I am talking in a democratical way. Language, I know I am controlling my language, I am controlling my temper, everything. Allow me to make my point. Don't threaten.
You are being allowed time, but don't use language that brings your respect down.
You don't want to make my point?
I want you to make your point. But 1 second. My question is...
I don't want to sit here as a dummy and listen.
My question to Varis Pathan,
whatever he says like me.
You on one hand appeal for the law to be taken back. On another hand, you also threaten Shaheen Bagh everywhere across the country. या तो आप अपील कर सकते हो या फिर थ्रेट कर सकते हो, दोनों साथ नहीं कर सकते.
Protesting in a peaceful way is not threatening. In your dictionary, protesting will be threatening. In my dictionary, which I learned, protesting in a peaceful way is not threatening.
Shaheen Bagh was not an ordinary protest, Varis Pathan. You must also understand that.
If I disagree with the government, I will protest. No, I will protest peacefully. We have been protesting
Shaheen.
all over the country. Shaheen Baghs
No,
were
no,
made.
you
We
are
were
threatening.
protesting against the black law. We were protesting. Allow me now. See, this is, you talk about democracy several times. You took the name of democracy. Now you are interjecting time and again. Okay, you go on. Understand
No,
why
I'm
we
not.
are against the law.
I'm not.
In Assam also, you
I'm
did
not
the
in the
same
habit.
exercise.
I'm
You
not.
spent
I'm not in the
crores of
habit of.
rupees.
I'm not on your habit, sir.
Okay,
Your wish.
I have
Your
to-
wish. Come on.
I have
You
to move on to our
spent
other
so
two
much
guests who have
crores
been
of
waiting
rupees, and what did
patiently.
you got?
Sujata Paul,
Nothing.
the reality
Similar
is
way,
that
we will
these
not allow
two
you to spend
protests
the
were
taxpayers'
politically
money in a
co-opted.
futile
We saw
exercise.
leaders from various political parties go to their stage. We
Do
saw
whatever you
inflammatory
want. We don't want to take
speeches being
certificates
made.
from you.
We saw violence.
BJP is pokey.
Several times unprovoked, one-sided violence. Remember, I'm talking about Shaheen Bagh protests in December 2019. Violence had already broken out in several parts of the country sporadically. There has to be some political accountability too. You cannot just say that we'll protest with no accountability to what it leads to.
First of all, I have a strict objection to you saying that Shaheen Bagh was, violent. There was no violence happening over there, one. But secondly, why is this happening now? Why are we talking about, the CAA law? If there is something wrong, I'm sure the government can talk to the various stakeholders or various protesters across the country. But no, there are elections in Uttar Pradesh, and this is going to benefit the Bharatiya Janata Party when Mr. Owaisi says all these things. And that is the reason why this is coming to the narrative. Why doesn't the BJP talk about Vikas and what they are going to do for women instead? That is more important. As far as this particular issue is concerned, one thing is very clear, that if there is a law which has been made in this country and it is unconstitutional, as Mr. Varis Pathan was saying, I want to point out it was unconstitutional because of the manner in which it was brought in, passed in the Rajya Sabha through a voice vote. That is its unconstitutionality. But coming to the CAA, we are bothered about the minorities from across the borders, but not all minorities. We have left out a number of
Because
people.
everybody
But
is
we are
not a
not bothered
minority
about the
across the border,
minorities.
no. Let's
in
not be
India.
hypocritical about issues. Can I just
Why are
point
we
out,
not
Sujata?
bothered about the
One
minorities
second,
in our
Sujata.
country?
It's all very nice for all political parties who are opposing CAA to nicely be quiet and hide under some rock when Afghanistan Taliban takeover happens and Hindu and Sikh minorities from Afghanistan have to be brought here for safety. It's all very nice to stay quiet then.
Nobody
It's all
kept
very
quiet.
nice to stay
See.
quiet and say we want justice for Hindu minorities in Bangladesh when they are attacked repeatedly
Shivani.
for a week. But then on top of
Shivani,
that, to
if-
oppose CAA.
No, I'll tell you what, Shivani, one thing is very clear, that what happened in Afghanistan did not leave any one of us unconcerned. They are human beings, and if there's something wrong happening over there, as neighbors, as human beings,
No,
whichever
madam,
part of
my
the world
point is
this
you
was
ask
happening,
for them to
we
be
would
brought
be
to
concerned.
India for safety.
No,
Then
no,
what?
but we have laws. You
Then
you
what?
think that the people who
They live
Shivani,
here
if people have been
as
brought in.
unwelcomed non-citizens, and CAA
So-
has a cutoff of 2014.
Yes, and what about the minorities in the country? But again, like
But
I
it doesn't
said,
affect
this
the
is the
minorities in the country, ma'am. Please update.
It affects all of us. What I'm saying is that we have 138 billion people in our country. Are we able to feed them properly? But no, we are going to be bothered
1.38
about
billion,
those
ma'am,
people who are
not
not even bothered
138
about us.
billion. Okay,
The
Abhishek.
minorities of Pakistan, we are bothered about them. If there is a problem,
Because,
we have
madam,
a law
Pakistan
already
used to
in
be
place.
part of India. Have you forgotten? There is a
Not
civilizational,
at all.
historical
What I'm saying
responsibility here. You can't wash your hands
Shivani,
off it.
There is a problem with those people.
Abhishek,
They can apply for
this is
citizenship.
precisely the question I wanted to ask you. Both of these protests, Shaheen Bagh and the farm laws protest, started with utter misinformation on what was there in the bills. That is the problem that one has. That even after that misinformation was called out, they didn't correct their position. The same misinformation is being repeated. But the larger question that arises is political parties, whether they have a stake in a certain state or not. I don't want to reduce this to Uttar Pradesh. They've tasted blood. The BJP has a fight on its hand.
Tell me something.
Yeah.
Abhishek, please.
Stand up.
Abhishek.
Look, when the BJP was in opposition,
Sujata
it
ji,
stood
please
with
let
people,
Abhishek
there
come
was no
in.
problem.
Please let Abhishek come in.
Yeah, Shivani, so, understandably after the repeal of these laws, there is the worry about the street veto, and it's an understandable worry. But what I would say is that if you remember, before 2014, there used to be other such mythical vetoes, right? We used to believe that a certain community has a veto in elections over who can become prime minister. So that myth was shattered in 2014. Now, of course, I mean, politics, there are never any full stops in politics. Now there is a worry that, okay, maybe the electoral veto is gone, but maybe there is a street veto. So again, this is a challenge, not just in front of the BJP, but in front of our Indian democracy in general. And I think there might be short-term difficulties, but we will overcome it in the long run. Now, with respect to the farm laws, I mean, we have to wonder about why these were repealed. Beyond, of course, the obvious national security issues in Punjab, the question was that there was a vocal minority on one side and an ambivalent majority on the other. That is, a small group is energized in protest, and the others are just waiting and wondering if there will be benefits. Now, if you think about CAA, they have the vocal minority in opposition. But do they have the ambivalent majority? I'm not so sure. If you think about Article 370, there is a vocal minority in opposition, but there is also a vocal majority in support.
The problem
So
is
now,
you are basically telling that a vocal majority who's not taking to the streets is that the only way to fight is through the street. That's the precedent that repealing of the farm laws has said. Okay, let me just give Guru Okay, let me give Guru Prakash the final word. I have 30 seconds left, Guru Prakash. The problem is the BJP was seen as weak when handling both the street protests of Shaheen Bagh, which eventually dispersed because of COVID-induced lockdowns, and of course the rioting, and they were running for cover, and even on the farm laws. How will you deal with this now? If everybody decides that they're going to just block roads?
No, Shivani. No, Shivani, it's obviously not going to work that way, but we need to understand one thing, that Uttar Pradesh elections are coming. When the Bharatiya Janata Party is talking about investment, infrastructure, connectivity, Purvanchal Expressway, one district, one product, the opposition is talking about who brought Chennai in this
that's not the point,
It was Mr.
Guru
Akhilesh
Prakash.
Yadav who brought
Elections
Chennai in the
happen
electoral
every 6
discourse.
months
No,
in India.
No,
so what,
understand.
we in Delhi are going to suffer?
Shivani, we are discussing this because Mr. Owaisi brought CAA. No, we are debating this because Mr. Owaisi brought CAA. When he should be discussing development in Uttar Pradesh, why is he talking about CAA? Because he wants to polarize. Sujata ji, I did not speak when you were speaking. Please have the grace and patience.
I've run out of time.
I did not speak when you were
Since
speaking.
both of you are making this allegation, let me give Varis Pathan 10 seconds. Is this your big poll plank in Uttar Pradesh? Is that why you're talking about it? Varis Pathan, I have 10 seconds.
Well, if they can bring Jinnah, no problems with that. We talk about development. We are going there to see that the BJP is defeated, and we will ensure that Yogi does not become the chief minister.
Okay, I have to leave it at that.
We are going there for political
Politics aside, in a state, this is a
we
larger question for the country.
Something wrong.
I have run out of time. Thank you, gentlemen, and Sujata for joining us, and a big thanks to our viewers for watching. The questions still remain, and we'll continue to look at those questions. Thanks a lot for watching.